it's after midnight, and yeah, because I had to wait for the football game, and they're like 30 minutes of post-game coverage. I get that it was a championship, but come on, at 10 minutes, cut it off and go and put it online, please. Stop having people celebrating for no reason. Well, anyway, this will be quick. Okay. For better or for worse, this was The X Files. That's my impression of this first night. They had a lot of stuff to get out of the way, and I think they did it well. I mean, I think most films would have struggled with trying to fill in the holes that this had to, and they did a good job of getting into 45 minutes, getting the new conspiracy up and running, which I don't entirely buy into yet. They are gonna, if this is the storyline, they are gonna have to do a lot, and I mean a lot of very good explaining, have a very good adventure planned out for me to buy into this, because, spoiler warning. There will be spoilers here, so if you haven't seen it, don't watch this. I'll say for the fans, I give night 1 7.5 out of 10. There were some weak moments. I don't think they should have stunt cast Joel McHale. One of the things the X-Files always did really well was really feeling kind of authentic. This felt a little too glossy, and having a comedy star who is best known from 2 comedy series, and for me, and you know, he did a riff tracks, that to me, that I know the X-Files is sort of like a cultural touchstone at this point, and you know, there are probably a lot of people who really want to do it, but doing that probably wasn't the best move. It hurt the authenticity. One of the things that I kind of liked about the X-Files was that it would duplicate Dragnet in that it had like these nondescript actors in the supporting roles. And some of them would go on to be iconic just because you weren't used to seeing nondescript people on television. You're still not. You still don't see nondescript people on TV and the movies, whereas putting major stars, all of a sudden it's, ooh, this major star doing an X-File. It's like, I can't think of anything I had seen Deep Throat in from season 1 before the X-Files, and yet his role was taken over, and yet his plot point was taken over by Martin Landau, who's a great in the first movie, and he's a great actor. But I kind of felt like, oh, I'm getting to see Martin Landau in the X-Files, rather than, oh, Mulder's uncovering something from this mysterious guy. It takes away from the mystery when you have that. It's like the same problem they ran into when they wanted big name actors playing Superman in the first movie, and wisely they got the studio to let him go for unknown. But other than that, and it looking a little too glossy, and my not being sure about this new conspiracy arc, the characters felt right. And despite my reservations about the conspiracy, the story felt right. It felt conspiratorial in all the right ways. They did a decent job. They did a decent job of just using this to, because like any series that talks about any science fiction story that talks about the near future, that either takes place in the near future or takes place in the present and has its characters being affected by the near future, the X-Files, of course, made some predictions that over time didn't come true. So if you ever go back to that, you have to figure out a way to explain it. They had to write a whole series of novels for Star Trek explaining how Khan Noomian Singh existed and got exiled in 1996, which seemed like a safe bet when you were looking at the rapid progress they were making in the 1960s for space travel. If we had kept up that level of funding and drive with NASA, it seemed like a safe bet. Well, the same thing happened here. They predicted an alien invasion in 2012. They had to explain an alien invasion not happening in 2012. They did a pretty good job. They did a pretty good job of that and making it all mysterious. And there's and there are several like scenes that were just sort of kind of disturbing. Like there's one near the beginning, and we heard Deep Throat talk about this, but somehow hearing somebody talk about it and actually seeing it on screen, there's like a flashback scene, and actually seeing this on screen so cold-bloodedly, and hearing this woman talk, and we're not sure who's doing what, why, when, and where. It's just perfect in that regard. And David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson and Mitch Piglia, I'm sorry, I don't know his name. He's been in two of my favorite science fiction shows, this and Stargate Atlantis, which everyone should check out. Sorry, I don't, but they all seem to be in it, and they did a good job of explaining why Mulder and Scully aren't together, even though they kind of seemed it, and I believed it. I didn't feel like they were pulling the rug out from underneath the viewer. In any other show of this kind, I would feel like, really? You spent all these years teasing us, and now you've just pulled the rug out because you don't want to go forward with it. But here, no, it felt like the only logical conclusion you would get from these two characters being in this place. And I do like the fact that they gave Mulder like a real nut to play off of, so that they could. It was really the only thing they could do. But still, it was the best thing they could. I mean, in this post 9/11 truther world, you have to give him somebody, because in the 90s, what Mulder was doing was just, oh, there's silly little conspiracy theorists out there, and it's a phase I think at least most, I went through it, most preteen and adolescent boys tend to go through, where you tend to think that when you first find out that there have been secrets kept in the past, you start wondering what secrets are being kept from you now, and all this other stuff. And I don't know, it's something. At least when I was a kid, there seemed to be a phase every kid went through around between like 10 and 14 or something, where you'd believe pretty much anything, and Mulder, people could pass him off, but they had to do it, and people could pass him off back then as just being an outgrowth of that, whereas now it seems a little more dangerous. But they did a good job. They had Mulder and Scully both filling in their roles, and I like the fact that Mulder actually seems a little reluctant to go into this one until the stakes become personal again. And remember, when the X Files started, it was personal. It wasn't just, the truth wasn't just some abstract. It was something that he needed, because it had torn his family up. Because not knowing the truth had destroyed his family. So it was something that he needed at the beginning, and now it's destroyed his second family. So again, once he sees that there's a link to that, that's when he sort of dives in, and Scully thinks he's gone a little far, and that's always been Mulder's problem. That's why he needs Scully to anchor him, and we actually see why he needs that in this one. And we see that Scully, for her part, has grown, and she's actually interested in finding it if she thinks that it is the truth. She's just not convinced in this case that it is, until the end, when the rug gets pulled out from under us in a way that only the X-Files does, where everything comes, like, and you're like, did they really just go that far? Whoever is behind this, did they go that far? And I like that some of the details do match up with the exact details Martin Landau's character in the X-Files movie gave them for how FEMA would take over. And and then they did something really smart. They kept the Smoky Man out of the credits. I avoided all spoilers, all trailers, except during the NFL game, which was one of the most lopsided. But it was lopsided. I can't say that it was a bad game. It was lopsided because, and I'm not a Panthers fan at all. I don't know that they were even in the running this year. That's how little attention I've been paying to American football since nothing happened to a team that was actually rigging the game in their favor. But last year, but the fact that they had, but I did, but that's not here. But I avoided all trailers, so I had no idea he was going to be in this. And then they saved his credit for right after he appeared, and it's just like they show all this stuff going down, and you know that it's just gotten real. It's just got real, and Mulder and Scully are in the middle of it, and they don't even know for sure what they're in the middle of. I mean, Mulder thinks he knows, but it's still up there, and I'm not 100% sure he's not being manipulated. If I had to put money on it, I'd say this is just another cover for the conspiracy he's been following all along. I mean, right now they have him doing apparently what he was trying to do, what they were trying to do to him. They have him doing it to himself. I mean, what better backup plan is there than getting your enemy to destroy their own work themselves? So I'll have to see, and then you're like, and then just when the fault is going through your mind of, I can't imagine anybody being this ruthless. I mean, leaving this many bodies behind. That's just, I mean, they're just being, I mean, that's just ruthless, and not just in a heartless sort of way, but in a, you think they'd want to be more subtle, and then they cut away, and then they cut to Smoking Man, and you're like, yeah, I was watching it with my family, and our jaws hit the floor. We were just like, and I was like, and I was the only one of them that had watched the last few seasons of The X Files on TV when we first got a Fox affiliate in my area, over the air, and I just go like, he's dead. And you know what? I don't care if they never explain his being alive. In fact, I kind of hope that they don't, because it would just make him all the more mysterious. And he's one character that normally in fiction I'd be like, oh, that's so cheap. They brought up a mystery and they didn't solve it. But he's one of those characters that's like so mysterious and works so much on his sense of mystery. I mean, I checked. He didn't even have a line in his first episode. The episode that led to him doing the rest of the show. He didn't have one audible line in that. And it's like, so it's like, the more mysterious the Smoky Man is, the better for me. So it's like, he's one character, but I can see somehow faking his own death, and since Mulder and Scully are sort of point of view characters, we would never even get close to knowing how or why he did it, because, hey, I mean, I think the why is pretty obvious. It's much easier to operate this sort of thing if everybody thinks you're dead. I mean, who's looking for you then? You can just walk out and get your mail. I mean, nobody's gonna be watching for it. So yeah, this was well worth watching. Night 1, 7.5 out of 10. The only things that strike against it are the Joe McHale casting, which, nothing against Joe McHale, it's just it felt like stunt casting, and that felt very out of spirit of the X-Files. And the way that everything was shot looked a little too polished for the X-Files. But other than that, and I'm not sure if the Moon Conspiracy is going this route. I'm not sure I'm gonna like it, because it's sort of trying to because I think it's trying to retroactively undo some of the events of the series, and I just don't. But then again, we'll have to see, because this was the most enjoyable hour of television I've seen in a long time. So yeah, yeah. So enjoy. I'll let you know what I'll post reviews of the other nights as they happen. I may not get them out that day. I may review several of them in one video, but because it depends on when I can get to the library to upload these. But yeah, well worth seeing. Good job. You undid the stink. I mean, I couldn't get through your last movie, Chris Carter, but you did it here. You undid the stink, and the X-Files is back.